I knew something was wrong the moment the elevator stopped on my floor without me pressing the button. I work as a night cleaner in a small office building. It's only 3 floors, and after 9 p.m., everyone's supposed to be gone. My shift starts at 10, and I usually see the last employees leaving as I come in. That night, the parking lot was already empty when I arrived. Nothing unusual about that. I clocked in, grabbed my cart, and took the elevator up to the 3rd floor. That's where most of the offices are. The place is always quiet at night. No music, no TVs, just the hum of the air conditioning and the occasional creak from the building settling. I started with the usual routine: empty trash, wipe desks, vacuum. About 20 minutes in, I heard the elevator ding. At first, I didn't think much of it. Sometimes the maintenance guy shows up late, but I didn't hear any footsteps afterward. Usually, the hallway echoes when someone walks. This time, nothing. I stepped out of the office I was cleaning and looked down the hallway. The lights were on, same as always, but it felt off, like the air had changed. I walked toward the elevator slowly, pushing my cart. When I got there, the doors were closed. The indicator showed 3, meaning it had stopped here. I pressed the button. The doors opened immediately. No one inside. I just stood there for a second, trying to think of a logical explanation. Maybe it was already on this floor and just made that sound randomly. Old buildings do weird things. I shrugged it off and went back to work. About 10 minutes later, I heard something else. A chair moving. Not loud, but enough. Like someone dragged it slightly across the floor. This time I froze. The sound came from one of the offices I had already cleaned. I walked over slowly and looked inside. Everything was exactly how I left it. Chairs tucked in, desks clean, nothing out of place. But I noticed one thing. The computer monitor on the desk was on. I was sure it had been off earlier. I stepped inside and moved the mouse slightly. The screen lit up fully. It was on the login page. Before I could think about it too much, I heard a soft sound behind me. A footstep, not from the hallway, from inside the office. I turned around immediately. No one there, but the door, which I hadn't touched, was now slightly more closed than before. Not shut, just moved. I didn't like that at all. I walked out quickly and stood in the hallway listening. That's when I heard the elevator again. Another ding. This time, I didn't go check. Instead, I stood there, trying to hear if anyone got off. Nothing. No footsteps. No voices. Just silence. I decided to go downstairs and check the lobby. Maybe someone had come in without me noticing. When I got to the ground floor, the front door was still locked from the inside, exactly how I left it. No sign of anyone. I checked the security monitor behind the desk. There's a camera in the elevator. I rewound it to a few minutes earlier. The elevator doors opened on the 3rd floor, and no one stepped out. But just before the doors closed, I noticed something. A shadow shifted inside the elevator, like someone had been standing just out of view. I didn't finish my shift that night. Story 2. The campfire that wasn't ours. The fire was already burning when we got there. Me and 2 friends had planned a last-minute camping trip. Nothing serious, just one night in a public forest area a couple hours outside the city. It was the kind of place where you don't need a reservation. Just find a spot and set up. We arrived late, around 11 p.m. The road into the forest was empty, and we didn't pass a single car the whole way. That's why it felt strange when we saw a faint orange glow through the trees. At first, we thought someone else was camping nearby. That happens. But when we got closer, it didn't make sense. The fire was in the middle of a small clearing, right where we usually set up. No tent, no car, no gear, just a fire, still burning. We got out of the car and stood there for a second. One of my friends joked that maybe someone left it behind, but it didn't look abandoned. There were fresh logs on it, not fully burned. The flames were steady, like someone had just fed it. "Hello," I called out. No answer. We looked around with our phone flashlights. Nothing, just trees and darkness. We debated leaving, but it was late, and we had already driven all that way. So we decided to stay, but we didn't touch the fire. Something about it fell off. We set up our tent a little distance away. For a while, everything was normal. We talked, ate some snacks, and eventually tried to sleep. I couldn't. The fire kept crackling in the distance. Not loud, but enough to keep me awake. At some point, I heard footsteps, very slow, crunching leaves. I sat up quietly. "Did you hear that?" I whispered. One of my friends mumbled, half asleep. "Probably an animal. Maybe." But it didn't sound like one. It sounded deliberate. Step, pause, step, like someone walking carefully. I unzipped the tent just enough to look outside. The fire was still burning, and for a second, I thought I saw someone standing on the other side of it. I blinked to try to focus. There was nothing there, just shadows moving with the flames. I told myself I imagined it and zipped the tent back up. A few minutes later, I heard something closer, right outside the tent. A soft crunch, then nothing. I held my breath, listening. That's when I heard it. A quiet exhale. Not mine, not my friend's. From outside. I didn't move. I didn't say anything. After what felt like forever, the sound stopped. Eventually, I must have fallen asleep. In the morning, the fire was completely out. Cold, like it had been that way for hours. But what bothered me most wasn't that. It was the footprints. Around the tent. Not animal tracks. Clear shoe prints. Walking in circles.